dear guests, it's a great privilege to be invited to this conference, and I would like to thank you for inviting me and also for organizing this event with all the implications and the final goal of the publication of the contributions. Now, in my talk, I will concentrate on these three notions, which is meaning, life, and conceptual belief. In the tradition research, we developed this neuroscientific-based model of belief formation. And as you can see, there are two important inputs, which is the external perception, which is multimodal and probabilistic on one hand, and there is the internal information, the subjective internal information, which is basically an effort, reward, or cost-benefit valuation. And this leads to the effective emotional charging of the formal information that has been received. And this then results in a neural representation, which is called beliefs. We have the errors indicate the encoding of information in the brain on one hand side, and you can see also that there is a directed flow of information from beliefs to action, and this is done by predictive coding. And of course there is a feedback, and the feedback is provided by the prediction error, and when the prediction error is low, this will result in a reinforcement learning of the representation, very much in contrast if the prediction error is nil, which means that the information that was assembled and perceived stands in the neural information stands in contrast to that what was believed hitherto, then the representations are modulated. The important issue here is that this all happens very fast in the brain and that we are not aware of this. So, however, we can become aware of the information that has been processed, and then we can code it verbally as propositions. And again, there is a feedback reflecting reflection, and this will either result in approval of actions that have been performed or in their inhibition. And of course, it should be outlined that the beliefs we have are not accessible directly, but can only be inferred from the actions that have been pursued and have been performed in the sense of overt behavior. In terms of neural representation, I show you this slide here, which does not show activations, but this is a neuroanatomical slide showing the involved networks. And this is performed and provided by meta-analytic connectivity mapping of different activation areas. So it reflects connectivity. And in this connectivity pattern, the outstanding areas shown on the right-hand panel, which are located on the interface, the medial aspect of the brain, and the green area is the so-called supplementary motor area, and this area is connected, as you can see on the left-hand panel, with the motor cortical areas on the surface, lateral surface of the brain, and the action of the supplementary motor area function is the online movement orchestration. Quite differently, the area which is in front, more rostral, to the supplementary motor area is called pre-supplementary motor area, and this is coded in red. Now this area has a very huge input from different brain areas, as you can see on the left-hand panel. Also, coming from the lateral surface of the brain into related, don't know how you can see this, related to the premotor cortical areas, the prefrontal areas, and also the parietal cortical areas. And the function of the pre-supplementary motor area is also related to coding of action, but not the actions themselves, but rather the context in which these actions occur. So it's the contextual coding of action or behavior. And this is done, as I said previously, both on the non-conscious level and on the global consciously available level as well. When it comes to the question which kind of information we have, which is related to the categorization of beliefs, we have the input level, and this is shown here on the very top. We have the external information concerning static objects, events that evolve and have a beginning and an end, and on the third level there are also narratives. And they can be categorized from a introspective perspective, but also as inference in third-person perspective. And to start off with that, we call the beliefs that are related to object as empirical beliefs. There are events that result in relational beliefs, and the narratives result in conceptual beliefs. And this is also reflected by the use of our language in different European languages, as in German, as in English, and as in French. And it's shown here for the English language. The differentiation is that we use belief as a verb, but it's inserted in interpretations in a slightly different way. Concerning empirical beliefs, we used to say, I believe that. Concerning relational beliefs, it's the expression, I believe him or her. And concerning conceptual beliefs, we are used to phrase it in the ways such as, I believe in. Now there is a meta-analytic level as well, which is that the beliefs that concern objects and events that are typically not in the first line expressed in verbal terms, but that develop, as I said, out of consciousness, that they can be called primal beliefs, and they have expressions, similar expressions in different other fields, such as primals, as biases, or schemas. And the information that is conveyed by these primal beliefs is the personal experience of the environment. In contrast, the conceptual beliefs encompass different subtypes, such as religious beliefs, such as political beliefs, or autobiographical beliefs. And that what is conveyed by them is the self-identity of the subjects. Now I come to the next point, which is the notion of meaning, and I refer to the work by Crystal Park, and she differentiates a global meaning, and you see here the definition of that, what is meant by that. In the first place, it's called beliefs, but there is also the relation to self-identity, to goals and values. And I could already say at this point, the translation from English, for instance, to German, is not one by one. We have the English expression meaning, but in German we have Bedeutung and Sinn on the other hand. So the concepts behind it might be quite different. These global meanings are confronted with situational meanings different experiences in different occasions. And there's no problem if the global meaning and the situational meaning are consistent, which happen. However, they may be inconsistent, and this will then lead to stress, and there is a feedback to the global meaning such that the meaning making is engaged, which will then lead to a new meaning way, and which will also change the global meaning. So very similar to that what I have presented to you earlier concerning beliefs. There's also a modulation of meaning by new incoming experience. Now I come to the notion of life, and here I have to introduce the so-called superordinate triadic concepts. And this is an integration of the different beliefs that I have presented to you previously. So we have the belief categories, such as empirical, relational, and conceptual, and concerning life. These correspond to the notion of beings, to populations, and of course, as a narrative, to eternal life. Another example would be love, for instance, which is the desire, the bodily desire, which was named eros already in the ancient Greek. We have the reciprocity, which was called philia, and we have, on the other hand, charity, which was called in ancient Greek agape. Now, another example is the notion of I or me as a person, and we have the domain of the body, we have the relation to other people as an individual, and we have the narrative, the self-concept, which is shown down there. So we have superordinate triadic concepts as integrated representations of different belief categories. Now I sum up what I've presented to you so far, and I repeat the last point, which is life is a superordinate triadic concept, integrates different beliefs as a common neural representation in the brain. Meaning is the individual worldview and the perspective of subjective long-term goals. And the final thing which I wanted to convey to you is the notion of conceptual beliefs. And these conceptual beliefs are made up by narratives. They are reinforced by ritual activities. And they are a source of transcendence and, of course, also for hope. And there's a new area coming up, which is the psychology of hope. They are fundamental for self-identity. However, they have the further characteristic that the conceptual beliefs can be modulated by new information, which may lead to the fact that they may fail if they no longer apply to the environment. Now, in my final slide, I would like to acknowledge my collaborators. We were fortunate enough to publish a book on the tradition and the nature of beliefs in believing. Recently, I would like to thank the Volkswagen Foundation for supporting us in our university, and I would like to thank you for your attention.